When you think of big budget AAA gaming disasters, you probably think of Cyberpunk and Anthem, but last year we were blessed with perhaps one of the most insultingly awful launches of any big budget title ever. Battlefield 2042. This bad boy blasted our ass on November 12th, 2021, a release date that will forever live in infamy as the day that Battlefield well and truly died, sailing right into Valhalla, God rest its soul. Battlefield is an iconic franchise, an FPS staple. You'd have to travel thousands of miles to find someone that didn't recognize the name Battlefield or played it at some point. And this was the one that people were really excited about, super hyped for 2042, and Christmas was right around the corner, and EA and DICE cursed all Battlefield fans with hemorrhoids in their stockings that year. It was rough. The game launched in an unforgivable state, and to date, it is my biggest regret in the moist meter. I gave it a 60%, believing that the glaringly obvious issues would be addressed shortly after launch, considering they were problems that were made aware to the team before the game even launched. Like, there was just so many fundamental basics that were missing from the game. It was embarrassing. It launched without a scoreboard. This game didn't even have a scoreboard until last month. And you would expect, like, the scoreboard that they finally released to be, like, absolutely game-changing, just, like, blow your fucking mind. A scoreboard so detailed that not only do you get your kill-death ratio, but you can also see the fucking heartbeat of the other team, as well as each individual player's SAT scores or something. You would expect, like, 5 months cooking this up in the laboratory. This is going to be a crazy scoreboard. No. It's the most bare-bones scoreboard ever. It looks like a Unity plugin, just a stock asset. There is no effort that went into Battlefield 2042, and I still gave it a 60%. What a fucking idiot. I believed that there was a fun game there underneath all of the bugs and neglect. A fun game that was plagued by a rushed release. But I was wrong. This is like one of those I can fix him situations. It was just pure fucking delusion. The game is just awful. And the severe neglect from the developers is just baffling. They even made an enemy out of fans. Every time fans would like complain about like game-breaking bugs and glitches or just ask questions like, hey, what's the roadmap? When are we getting updates and what's happening? The developers would just get mad at them, like talk about how entitled they were, like gamers are so fucking entitled, they want us to actually make a game that works. We spit on them. It's just such a masterclass in how to ruin a franchise. Battlefield 2042 is without a doubt the worst Battlefield, and you can see that in its concurrent player count. Battlefield 2042 is so fucking dead that when you check its Steam charts, it doesn't even register a heartbeat. This is just pure fucking flatline. Look at these numbers here. This is still a pretty new game. And Battlefield games have always had great staying power. And to prove that, you can look at previous Battlefields. Battlefield 5 numbers absolutely dwarf Battlefield 2042's. Battlefield 5 has been out for years. This is an older game now. And it still has a much bigger community than 2042. And going back even further, Battlefield 1 still has more than double, more than triple the players that Battlefield 2042 gets. It's not even close. No one wants to play this fucking game. They're playing the older Battlefields. Battlefield 2042 is just barely doing better than Battlefield 4, which is a decade-old game, basically. This game was a completely soulless, shameless cash grab, and they didn't even make it work. Like, the game just barely functioned. And the results speak for themselves. I don't know how Battlefield bounces back from this. The way they handled this post-launch is just laughable. They vilified their fans. And they made it like a developers versus gamers situation where they didn't want to listen to what the players wanted. And they just didn't do anything. They just let the game wallow in its own shit and die. Just suffocating on the odious Methodist that they'd created with this stinky pile of shit. They popped the Thanksgiving turkey out of the oven a bit early, and then threw it in a septic tank. Rest in peace, Battlefield. Now this brings me to the next game I'd like to talk about, Halo Infinite. I really enjoyed the gameplay for Halo Infinite. I still really like the gameplay for Halo Infinite, but the game is turbo dead. You can check the Steam charts here. There's not a whole lot of players active on the game right now. Now, I want to make it clear, I know Steam charts don't speak for everything, especially when it comes to Halo. There's definitely going to be a lot of console players, and for Battlefield as well, but it still does help paint the picture. You can at least get a feel for how live the service is, because we have some numbers to work with. Halo Infinite is struggling, And it's not a secret as to why. It's because the game has no content. The game launched and everyone really liked it. They're like, wow, finally, Halo's getting its feet back. The gameplay's fun, everyone was enjoying it, I was enjoying it, all my friends were. It was a great time. But after about a week or so, people realized like, there's not a whole lot to do here. There's not a lot of maps, there's almost no game modes, there's ranked, which only goes up to Onyx, which isn't that hard to get. Like, a buddy of mine, Danking, got Onyx in all 3 categories in the span of a week. Like, it's not a whole lot to strive for, there's not a whole lot to do. So after about a week, maybe 2 weeks for most players, you run out of content to do in Halo Infinite, because it didn't launch with much. There really wasn't a whole ton there. And it's now been, I believe, 5 months, 4.5, 5 months, I don't remember the exact release date for Halo now, but it has nothing to show for it. It's in the exact same state that it was when it launched. Now, they did recently announce a cookbook for Halo, which is fantastic. That's what the community's been asking for, and I saw a lot of people on Twitter very excited about this new Halo cookbook coming out. If you can even call it that, it's basically just like the most bare bones recipes that they found on WikiHow and then just slapped like Master Chief's face near it in the cookbook. But I digress. You know, who doesn't love a good UNSC pigs in a blanket, I guess. I don't know what the fuck's in there, but whatever. They haven't done anything, is the point. They're not adding any content so far. They're not showing any work updates from what I can tell. The only thing I've seen from them is they're teasing 2 new maps coming out. 1 big team battle and 1 ranked map. After 5 months, your big reveal is you got 2 new maps coming out? That's it? Like, that's super underwhelming. That's not going to bring people back. That's going to get people that are playing to at least be like, oh, okay, yeehaw, I guess that'll be good. But I don't know what you expect with such an underwhelming announcement. The players aren't going to fucking rip their shirt off and start twirling it over their head like, yeah, it's the resurrection of Halo Infinite, baby, just like Jesus Christ on Easter yesterday. You know, this isn't enough, right? Like, this is just, you've had a lot of time now, you've had a lot of feedback. Let's start being a little more vocal with where we see Halo Infinite in the upcoming months. Now, I do understand that there are rumors as well as a potential leak for a Battle Royale mode for Halo Infinite, and I think that's pretty cool, even though I personally don't care for Battle Royale game modes. It's at least something. It's more content. So if all that's true and all that's confirmed and they do release that pretty soon, then fantastic. But it's still in a very content-dry state, which is why the game is super dead, which is really disappointing for me because I had so much fun with it when it launched. I just wanted to talk about this since we're talking about Battlefield 2042 and it being dead. Halo Infinite is also pretty dead right now, but I hope it doesn't stay that way because I do think there is so much potential still there. I just wish they would do more to communicate like the roadmap and what they're going to be adding and when, like a projected timeline of things, because the game just needs content. People want to play it, but there's no reason to right now. This fucking thing launched without co-op or Forge. Like, come on. So if you don't have a ton of multiplayer content, which is the only thing that really came out aside from the campaign, which you can blast through pretty quickly, then obviously players are going to start leaving it pretty quickly once they realize that, I just did everything there is to do in the goddamn game already. So I really hope it can start finding its footing because I think Halo Infinite is a fun game just in a really bad drought right now. So yeah, I just wanted to talk about these 2 games because I was thinking about them today. And yeah, that's really about it. So yeah. I've covered a lot of bad products on my channel over the years. I'm very fascinated by these horrible ideas that actually get made and then have a colossal failure. And I didn't know there were so many people that were like me who appreciated the fine art of an absolute abomination. So, when I learned about the Museum of Failure, I got a big smile on my face. The Museum of Failure is basically a showcase of some of the worst inventions that ever hit the market, and they've got some bangers on there. I recently learned about it on stream, so I'd like to show you some of it. Did you watch the Inside Edition on the Museum of Failure? No, that sounds like a cool museum, though. Museum of Failure pays tribute to failed products. Heinz Easy Squirt Funky Purple. That was not a failure. I had that. It was amazing. That was when ketchup tried to get real crazy. It went extreme, so you'd get different colors of ketchup. I used to eat some crinkle cut fries with some Easy Squirt funky purple. And it was amazing. I think everyone had some of the Easy Squirt.
Imagine failing so spectacularly.
It's rather violent.
Oh, the Hawaii chair. Hey, this one's a classic. Anyone remember the Hawaii chair? That's the one that they used to play the as seen on TV commercials for pretty often, where it's like, are you tired of just sitting down and not being able to get a good workout in? Well, fucking spin your ass in a circle on the Hawaii chair. It's gonna give you a six-pack abs, tighten your glutes, give you quads that you've always dreamed of. The Hawaii chair is backed by medical science to be one of the finest exercise equipment, and you can use it while working at home or working at the office.
Out of your workout, the Hawaii
Damn, they got a jingle for it.
You know, Tamara, the Hawaii chair wasn't designed just for home. I mean, after all, for some of us, at least 40 hours of our week is spent sitting behind a desk at the office.
Ah, cringe. This was huge. Are these really failed products? They aired this kind of shit all the time for the Hawaii chair. I assume this was another, like, shake weight. Like a financial success, but like a cultural failure.
But the museum's organizer told CBS News she wants the exhibit to...
That was an awesome mask.
Failure can be...
What was it? I don't think this... Was this the Rejuvenique? I don't think so. This was that horrifying mask. I made a video on this one a long time ago. It's like a fucking Jason Voorhees mask where it's supposed to like tighten the skin on your face. So you just like cremate yourself in there while it cooks the skin. Oh, it is the Rejuvenique. I wasn't sure if that's what it was called. I didn't know if that box went to that piece of equipment or not. I thought it had a very different name.
Fear of failure hold us back from innovating, trying new things.
I don't know half of these. Can you take me on a tour?
So while the new Coke, purple ketchup, and...
I am still super tired of this slander. There's no way that failed. Purple ketchup was fucking hype. I'm looking it up right now. Now, if you just type in purple ketchup, you see a ton of people raving about it. And then you see one stupid, dumb headline saying, what were they thinking the day ketchup crossed the line? Which is stupid. That's fucking dumb. There needs to be more line crossing. Purple ketchup sold more than 10 million bottles of green ketchup, pushing up total sales by 5.4% and helping the Pittsburgh company boost its shares of American ketchup market up to 59% from 55%. So maybe green was the more popular one? Initially, the brand was a huge success. The brand's marketing director reported that the first 3 months they sold the same amount of bottles they had expected to sell over the course of the entire year. From 2000 to 2003, the company sold over 25 million bottles of the condiment. However, like so many colorful fads, this one wore off as well, and the product was ultimately discontinued in 2006. Well, yeah, of course, it's not going to last forever. This is going to be a staple in like the fucking pantry of every household in America for decades to come. It was supposed to just be, you know, a fleeting fun thing. They say the star that burns brightest burns out quickest. And that's what Easy Squirt Funky Purple was like.
The pen, designed specifically for women, weren't bestsellers.
Didn't remember that. But this is something I talked to Tiana about. I don't remember if I mentioned this on stream. One time we needed tools because I don't remember what happened. I think my tools were all like old and fucked up. So Tiana ordered tools. They got here. And what she ordered was called Lady Tools. I shit you not. The brand is called Lady Tools. And I got offended for her. I was like, what the fuck do you mean, Lady Tools? We're talking hammers, drills. Like, why is it Lady Tools? It's just fucking tools in general. Why the fuck are we calling them Lady Tools? Like, I got upset. I was fucking mad. It's like so worthless. Like, what do you mean Lady Tools? Just fucking... It's a stupid gimmick. You're just selling normal tools, but then slapping lady on top of it. It hurts me. Like you're insulting me. Were they pink? No, they were purple. So I guess that's the lady part because it was a effeminate color. It was light purple. There's no such thing as like a tool for a girl versus a guy. A hammer is a goddamn hammer. And a stove is a stove. That's what they say. And patties will be patties. In the wise words of SpongeBob. Are they purposely more fragile too? I don't know. I will say the drill fucking sucked ass though. That drill couldn't do anything. It had about as much torque as me just sticking a pencil in something and turning it myself. That drill was shit. But its screwdriver and its hammers and the other accessories it came with were fine. But that drill could not work at all. Not even a little bit. That was yeah, that's pretty insulting actually. Lady tools and they give it a drill that actually can't do shit. It's fucking worthless. Why'd she order that brand? I don't think she knew. I think she just typed in like tool like a toolkit on Amazon. One of the sponsored things must have been Lady Tools. This is its screwdriver. This was in the room tour I did. That screwdriver that's on my shelf is a Lady Tool. So here's the purple. That's what makes it a Lady Tool. And it was a fine screwdriver. Like I built what I needed to with it. But it's such a stupid idea. Lady tools. And the rest of the toolkit's kind of similar to this. All of it like was usable except the drill. The drill was an unforgivable sin that they sold. That's a scam. That's a lawsuit waiting to happen. Was it like 50% more too? I don't know. I didn't buy it. I would have never. That's just some real weird marketing garbage. But this whole thing with the pins for girls is very interesting. It seems like they tried that entire market for a while of like normal thing, but for girls, so it's purple and pink. What a fucking scam.
They can still serve another purpose by encouraging others to embrace failure as part of...
Fuck was that? It's just an ugly doll. What's the bad invention there? Unless it's supposed to represent something that I don't know. It's just a very ugly doll. Just a homeless begging doll? Oh. Oh, I see. Oh, it's holding out its hand for money. Okay, I see why it's classified here as just more than an ugly doll. So you'd buy a baby that's homeless and begging on the streets. I get it, okay. So Tom Scott took a tour through the Museum of Failure 5 years ago. And this one's from 2 weeks ago. So let's do 2 weeks. I do love Tom Scott, though. They're kind of fixated on one thing. I want to see a tour of the whole thing. Sour cream and onion fat-free Pringles was bad. This failed. Sour cream and onion's a great flavor. What made this one so shit?
Because... Well, not because. The side effect was explosive diarrhea.
I mean,
oh!
as long as you're home for the evening, right? This was...
So, like, sugar-free gummy bears, right? I think it's sugar-free gummy bears, where Wubby literally shit himself on stream. I think it's sugar-free gummy bears that are like a turbo laxative, right?
So you had your doll,
right?
And then when it's time for her to grow up...
Okay, she grows up, what happens?
So you twist her arm like that,
right?
See if that works. And then she grows breasts and her waist.
This sounds like it might have been created by a room full of men.
Really, you think so?
What do you...
Let's show the people some of the other innovations.
I actually doubt it was, to be honest with you there. Well, fucking spin it. I want it. How big do the hunkers get? Jesus Christ. Making it sound like anime tits. Man just starts cranking it like he's trying to roll down an old window.
Pushing the envelope.
Right.
Fill up like water balloons. There's a website with a huge list of failed Google products. Oh, I know all about it. Yeah. Google has an unreal amount of failed projects. 285. Yep, Stadia is the newest one to add to the list. Rest in peace, Stadia. YouTube Originals. Oh yeah, YouTube Originals. Totally forgot about that. You know what's crazy? YouTube Originals died a long time ago, and apparently it lasted till 2022, and they didn't even make like a big statement. I don't remember them ever saying anything about it. They just let it like completely fade from the public eye and then I guess took it down quietly. Over the last year or so, I've been very hard on the metaverse. I've made multiple videos insulting it, pointing and laughing at it, calling it stupid and dumb, and just overall kind of bullying it, just putting its head in the toilet and flushing it. But the metaverse has persisted in the only way it can, with a very slight beating heart. It's kind of a failed project at this point. It's more or less a joke to everyone now. And it still keeps trying, even in the face of adversity. You know, it's saying sticks and stones might break my bones, but in the metaverse, nothing can hurt me, except massive financial loss, which they continue to take. Mark Zuckerberg today put his head down, went back on the grind, and released an update video on the metaverse with some shocking new developments, something to get everyone excited, all 6 people in the metaverse. He announced that they'll finally have legs. I'm not kidding, that's their big groundbreaking announcement. The metaverse avatars now have legs, something VR chats had for years.
Hey, we're here together in Horizon, and this is the first time that we've done this at Connect.
Did you see that, asshole? Mark Zuckerberg's coming in here with his trademark jeans in the metaverse. He's got legs. He's got his little stompers going on. This is groundbreaking. What an achievement. They're finally catching up to technology that's been around for fucking 8 years now. The only thing sadder than the metaverse is the ending to Marley and Me. What an absolute train wreck of a project. And yet there's still people huffing copium saying it's the future, but it is just such an unbelievable waste. It's so useless. In fact, even in this presentation, the main selling point was, look at all the things you might eventually be able to do in the metaverse that we don't really have yet, but one day we might. The whole advertisement campaign for the last year of the metaverse is saying, one day the metaverse might be fun or useful, but that day is not today. Like, that is their actual marketing. And, like, it's so fucking stupid. And it's not just the metaverse that continues to fucking flounder around like a fish out of water. I read an article yesterday that really warmed my heart. It's one of those feel-good stories. It's about a $1.2 billion metaverse crypto project called Decentraland, and it only has 38 active users. Which is, of course, a shockingly low number. That's not even like a full classroom at most high schools. That's probably less people than you have in your fucking local church choir. And to put it in even more of an interesting perspective, it's the same amount of active players Tom Clancy's Splinter Cell Conviction has right now, yet it still has a higher 24-hour peak for Conviction, and that's a game that came out in 2010. I just love seeing all of the metaverse fat L's that keep stacking up. It's just beautiful, honestly, because it's such a dog shit implementation of a moderately interesting idea at the moment. Just a cash grab. It's just soulless, passionless cash grab. And it is great to see it just fucking fall on its face.
And this is a preview of our next generation of avatars. They're so much more expressive and detailed than anything else today, and they have this unique meta style to them.
They're not that detailed, nor are they that expressive. They certainly do have that meta style, because that style is synonymous with actual diarrhea. But like, even Roblox characters are more expressive than most of these metaverse avatars. They're very stiff, very robotic. It's just not good. The metaverse, Mark Zuckerberg's metaverse, is a much worse version of VR chat. VR chat is a significantly better metaverse at the moment, and it's not even close.
Hey, Igram.
Hey, Mark.
Hey, want to update everyone on the latest with the avatars ecosystem?
Yes, we have so many exciting things going on. Our first milestone is making it so you could use your avatar across all of our apps and in VR.
Whoa, hold the phone, pump the brakes. I can use my avatar in multiple places? What? How is something like that even possible? Get out of town. We don't have that kind of technology. No. It is just baffling to me that they say these things unashamedly. Even on the Xbox 360, you could take your little avatar into multiple games like in the Kinect, or even like racing games. I think it was Sonic Team Racing or something, whatever the fuck it was called back then. You could just take your avatar that you made on the dashboard in 5 seconds, and you could take it in game. On the Switch, you can take your fucking Mii into the game in Smash Brothers, or they even had the Mii Universe in the old Wii. This is a concept that's been around for so many years, and the metaverse is just now getting this capability to take this avatar elsewhere. Like, I get this one's VR, so it's like a little more involved than just like an Xbox avatar, but even still, it's a basic feature I think most people would have expected. I had no idea the metaverse didn't already come with this. I didn't know that when you made an avatar in the metaverse, it was locked like in fucking purgatory on Horizon or whatever it's called. It was like exclusive to just that. I assumed that avatar would be able to be used worldwide across that platform. You know, you could take that avatar wherever. So after watching this presentation, the metaverse is even more useless than I thought it was.
Already see avatars showing up in stickers, stories, comments, and more across Instagram, Facebook, Messenger, and in the future, WhatsApp. And we're working on bringing them more to life through animation and to more places like, for example, Reels. We want you to be able to use avatars anywhere you want to express yourself.
Now, maybe this is just because I'm not the kind of person that would ever use this, but I truly feel like this is a completely worthless feature for 99% of human beings in this world. Being able to use your fucking metaverse avatar in Instagram Reels, why would anyone use that? If you want to take a picture saying, missing California summer with like a selfie of you in bed, you'll just take a picture of you in bed. Why would you put on your VR headset, lay in bed, and then take a picture of your avatar? Or even if you don't have to go through all that effort, why would you still use an avatar to represent that story? I don't really see what the point would be. I mean, I could kind of understand it for text messages to like replace a Bitmoji with your avatar. I'm not the kind of person who's ever used a Bitmoji, but I guess for someone that does, maybe that has value. But I just can't see the vision or can't see a person that'd be pumping their fist like, yes, finally I can use my metaverse avatar instead of my own face. Like, it doesn't compute with me. Like, in any situation you'd use your avatar, why wouldn't you just use yourself, right? Unless, of course, you fully, like, bought into this and, like, you know, the flesh is gone and now it's just all machine. Like, Charles, you know, in the corporeal dimension is kaput. Now it's only Cyber Charles in the metaverse. So now all my shit's just like my avatar. I don't know if I'm making sense or if I sound like a raving lunatic on crazy pills, but I just don't see why you'd start fucking Fortnite default dancing in the metaverse as opposed to just doing that normally and posting it on your reel. You know, you're getting the same effect but with more work through the metaverse and it looks stupider.
Yeah, we're working on this now and expect to launch it next year.
And in virtual reality, there's already head and hand positions, so...
I love the camera pans to the audience reception here who are still without legs. Mark Zuckerberg has still stolen their lower half like a rogue magician here. And all they can do is just throw confetti, just...
And in fact, today we're announcing partnership with Zoom that will let you show up as your avatar on Zoom calls.
Yeah, but why? Again, this might just be because it's a feature I would never ever use, but let's say I'm on a Zoom call and I don't feel like turning on my camera, which I imagine this is for people that don't want to turn their camera on but still want to be able to display emotions, I guess, like a fucking Five Nights at Freddy's animatronic with the metaverse avatar, but still. The idea is it's in between video on and video off, so you still get like an avatar but you don't have your camera on. What the fuck is the point though? Just don't turn your camera on. The people that are, like, let's say it's a job interview or something, and you're having a bad day, you know, like maybe you fell down while skateboarding and you cut up your face or something, you don't want to turn on the video. You know, turning on the avatar is not doing you any favors either. I'm sure the employer would be like, no, can you put away the cartoon, please? You know, this isn't Pixar. We want to see you. I just don't see a situation where you don't feel like turning on the video and you put the avatar there instead. Why not just keep the video off? It's not like the avatar really brings anything to the table or elevates the experience or makes it more human-like somehow. Just don't turn the video on in the first place. Like, that would be probably more respectful. You know, I think that'd be far more professional as well. As opposed to going into like a serious Zoom meeting or something and you don't feel like turning the camera on, so now you got like this goofy little Snapchat filter here. You know, just keep the video off. I just don't see it. And again, it might be because I would never use it or be in a situation where it would have any kind of practical use, but to me it just seems like another worthless thing.
Yeah, so right now, a lot of developers are building their own avatar systems since the tools that you can import are pretty basic. But over the next year or two, as all these new tools and styles become available...
I just wanted to quickly take that excerpt there because they've already said this multiple times for pretty much everything. Like, oh, we're expecting maybe about a year from now. We're expecting about a year. Oh, you know, right now the functionality and, you know, all of it's pretty basic, but, you know, over the next year or two as things become available and evolve, like everything is just, you know, in a year, perhaps. To me, that wouldn't inspire confidence. That just keeps, like, stalling. Like, oh, a year. Oh, okay, another year. Like, it's already been quite a while for the metaverse to be out here, and what it has is very lacking. So to keep pushing everything like a year or 2 years down the line, it's like, man, what the fuck am I supposed to be excited about?
Legs.
Legs! I know you've been waiting for this.
I think everyone has been waiting for this.
Pretty epic. You see Mark Zuckerberg stretch those puppies out? That was like a 55-inch vertical leap right there that Mark Zuckerberg did in his room. This guy is an athletic freak, a specimen to be studied for his raw athletic nature. But yeah, legs are now in the metaverse. Yeehaw.
Yeah, so that's where we're going to bring legs to Horizon first, and we're going to keep bringing them to more and more experiences over time as we improve our technology stack.
Oh yeah, also, they mention at the end, the legs are only going to Horizon right now. It's not even across all of the shit, I guess. So, you know, they said sometime, you know, at some point, the legs will make it to other shit in the metaverse, I suppose. But yeah, anyway, I just wanted to talk about this a little bit because it's just another Metaverse L, and who doesn't love seeing those, right? That's about it. See ya. I think it's safe to say everyone has those hero fantasies where you're the main character that defeats the villain and everyone's impressed and claps for you. You know, that kind of situation you imagine in your head where you're at a restaurant and then all of a sudden Cobra Commander fucking kicks down the door with a bazooka and he's taking hostages, but you go out of your way to disarm Cobra Commander and beat his ass. You know, those kind of hero fantasies I think we've all imagined at some point in our life. But very rarely do you see someone that actually acts upon them and becomes the hero. So please allow me to introduce you to the newest Avenger, Captain Babyman. This is a real-life superhero, and he's just like you and me, just a normal guy, but he has a baby. And he's not afraid to bring that baby into any fight he tries to start.
Record it. Let's call the police. I'll call the police.
Dude.
I'm going to call them right now.
Do it.
Identify yourself.
It doesn't matter.
Please identify yourself.
Marvel's really going a new direction with their characters, proving that it's okay for men to cry over nothing. So this is a really confusing video for me because the guy here is really upset about a guy who's at a building visiting a friend. He keeps asking for identification as if this is the bouncer of this apartment complex, which I guess it could be, but if that is the case, they need to fire him and hire somewhere else because this is just not a good bang for your buck here. You are not getting a good deal on your security staff if this guy's the front man here. It's really weird that he's just immediately crying and shaking and calling the police just because someone arrived that he didn't recognize. I guess this apartment complex, everyone's family. Like, it's Dominic Toretto's apartment complex. Everyone knows everyone. They kiss each other on the mouth every morning or something. So when the stranger shows up, fucking go on a DEFCON alert and start panicking. But I just don't understand why he's taking it to such an extreme. And if he really does feel like this stranger is that dangerous, why does he have his baby there? He's willingly putting his baby in harm's way. Because in his head right now, he's on the battlefield. Like, he's in a war zone right now, and he's the only thing keeping the peace. And he brought his baby to it for some reason. If he really felt this way, he should have done the responsible thing as a father and left since he has his baby.
You can please identify yourself.
I don't have to identify.
Yes, you do, because if you're stepping into this building, you absolutely have to.
You're not the gatekeeper of this building.
I live here.
It doesn't matter. I'm here visiting.
Then you identify yourself.
No, they call the police. Like, this is really weird.
Please leave. Please stand outside.
I'm not going to.
Please stand outside of the
door.
door.
I don't have to. You are in my way.
I have to wonder if this man and his baby swapped brains, like if there's some kind of science experiment, because the baby's using this man like it's a goddamn Megazord in Power Rangers. He's just up there chilling, like controlling him via his hair. And then the guy here is having a fucking baby tantrum meltdown just because a guy he doesn't recognize is at the door. Now, obviously, I don't know the full scope of the situation. I remember when I lived in an apartment complex, pretty much anyone could wander in off the street. We also used to have a lot of people use it as like a public defecation and urination site. So maybe I'm just not super used to apartment culture when you have to like enter a door. Because back then, the apartment I lived at was just used as a goddamn cum dumpster. But I can't understand that some buildings can take it seriously. Like, if this guy was following someone else into the building and this guy saw it, I could understand him being a little skeptical, like, hey, can you just wait? I feel like that would have been a much more peaceful solution instead of like, where's your ID? Give me your fucking ID. I'm the hall monitor. I'm taking it to the principal. ID, 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 ID. You know, you could have just been like, hey, you just wait for your friend down here or something. Like, there was plenty of different ways of handling this, and I still don't know why he was this confrontational with his baby on his shoulders. Unless he planned on using the baby as like a riot shield in case things got out of control. I don't really know. It just doesn't make any sense to me. It's extremely confusing.
You have no right to be here.
You have no right to tell me that.
Absolutely I do.
No, you don't.
I'm here to make sure the building is... Hi, there's a person
John, this is your home. He's calling the police on me.
John, your buddy here.
I don't have to identify myself to this gentleman.
Please let him know that if he comes in here to let people know who he's visiting. Thank you. Thank you.
Dude,
don't do that.
Dude, I can't wait to make this video go viral.
John, yeah, that's John.
Now this is where the video gets really fucking trippy. This is where it goes like full Christopher Nolan with its plot. So the guy that he is there to visit comes downstairs and he says, "Hey John." So he addresses him as John. We establish that this character's name is John. So after Boss Baby recognizes that the person he's here to visit actually exists, he lets him in. He's like, "Don't do that again, suck a dick, fuck you, I was real tough." And then he goes over to his friend, who is named John, we are led to believe, since he was called John. And then he just keeps saying, "John, John, John, John," which means one of two things. Either John was under some kind of mind control brainwashing thing, and him hearing his name is fucking stun-locked him, so he starts repeating it, "John, John, John," and he's starting to unlock all of the memories of his life and remember who he is. Or it means that the guy who was blocking the door is also named John, which then also leads me to believe that the other man in the background of the video with the mask will also probably be John as well, which means the entire apartment complex is inhabited by just Johns. He has entered into this parallel dimension where everybody is John. The baby is John, he's John, you're John, I'm John, we're all Squidward. I really do like to imagine that this facility is some kind of government building that, like, it's just concentrated John energy and they all just live there and only there. So if you ever see a John, this is where they came from. It's like a factory that prints out different Johns. But yeah, I mean, anyway, I'm getting a little too deep now. I just wanted to share this video because I found it to be an extremely interesting one, mainly because of the big John twist at the end. So yeah, I don't think if you're going to be a hero, at least don't do it with your baby on your back. You know, like, that seems irresponsible. Also, maybe just be a bit calmer about it instead of immediately trying to call the police because there's a guy you don't recognize there. I wonder if he does this when like a UPS delivery guy comes in, or like Amazon Prime sometimes just has people in their car show up, so when he has an Amazon Prime delivery, he just fucking freaks out, like goes wild, starts chasing the car around on all four like a dog, asking for their ID. You know, there's certainly a better way to have handled this, I think. But anyway, that's about it. See ya. I briefly mentioned the situation with Unity a few days ago, just as a tiny little blurb, basically a cameo appearance in a Marvel movie. I just kind of went over like the very basics of everything going wrong with Unity. But things have only gotten worse since then, so I just want to make a whole video here going over the entire situation and kind of dancing on Unity's grave, because they did it to themselves. Now, of course, they're not actually dead yet, but they are doing everything in their power to put themselves in the dirt. They are bent on self-destruction and nothing will stop them. It's like a scene out of 24, with Jack Bauer interrogating a terrorist and they're doing everything they can to take the cyanide pill to end it all. That's Unity as a business right now. So a channel called Upper Echelon just released an incredible video going over all of the new information about this situation, so I'm going to show you some clips of that, as well as just give you the broader stuff as well, just in case you're unfamiliar with all of it. This is going to be an all-encompassing biblical smackdown of everything Unity related.
Unity Technologies, a video game software company responsible for making the Unity game engine, has recently adjusted their fee structure. On top of a flat subscription service, they will now charge game developers per install, with retroactive terms of service changes, and that monetization scheme will have a severe negative impact on a great deal of projects.
In a nutshell, that's where all of this disaster stems from. He has just given you the macaroni, so allow me to give you the cheese. Unity made a big announcement about a change to their monetization model where if you reach a certain level of success with their product, they will then start dipping their greedy, grubby little paws into your pockets and take a little piece for themselves out. So, if you're using Unity Personal and Unity Plus, you're eligible for this fee once you reach 200K in revenue over the last 12 months and have 200K lifetime installs, and that number increases to 1 million in 12 months and 1 million installs when you're using Pro or Enterprise. So basically, they will start taking money, and it's dictated how much at each level, per install of a game once it reaches this threshold. Now, there is no faith in this company left, like there's nothing but bad will, so no one really has any faith that they have any means of detecting fraudulent downloads. A lot of people were very quick to point out that you could absolutely fuck someone in the face by just constantly reinstalling these games on like virtual machines or pirated copies, but Unity's like, no, we've solved everything. Actually, piracy is extinct now. We'll know if that's happening. But no one believes them because it's very hard to take them at their word when they have no good faith left. So, there is potential for this to be exploited in a big way where you could cost companies or individuals tons and tons and tons of money just by gamifying this fee. And it's not like Unity really has an incentive to stop that because they're making the money off of that fee. That's money going into their piggy bank. So heavens to Betsy, sports fans, you tell me, why the fuck would they patch out this infinite money exploit when they're the ones that benefit from it? But anyway, this is the big bang that created the universe of problems for Unity here and started all of the hoopla with this entire catastrophe. The best way I've seen it described is, imagine if Adobe started to put up a big stink about YouTubers using their product. Like, imagine Adobe comes out and says, you know what, we've arbitrarily decided that YouTubers that reach a certain threshold of views are going to be subject to a fee because they use Adobe Premiere to edit. So, Mr. Beast, for example. Mr. Beast will now start paying X amount of dollars per view because he edited his content with Adobe. It should be pretty clear why that is an extremely scummy and ridiculous idea. And that's fundamentally what Unity's doing here. People paid for the tools. They made their own games with those tools. Adobe, now I'm getting lost in my own fucking genjutsu here, the fantasy I've crafted. Unity should not be entitled for a fee per install on the games that people make if they're successful. It's literally suffering from success.
We already know about John Riccitiello, however you say that, the CEO. He sold a bit of his stock right before this all happened. He was the former CEO at EA Games.
John Riccitiello, more like John Sissy-Tiello, because he's a little bitch. Man, what a humdinger. If Unity wasn't dead before this video, they're definitely dead after this one, because that was an absolute heater. So anyway, their CEO is John Riccitiello, however you say it, I also don't know. Upper Echelon is about to get into the meat of the new discoveries, but I want to continue laying the foundation for all of the prerequisite knowledge that you should have coming into the new stuff. So, their CEO is a very important component to this entire controversy. He is a former EA employee, former EA CEO, who was too greedy for EA. Let that sink in for a moment, marinate on those juices, let that percolate in your noodles for a moment. Someone was too greedy for EA, and it's this cartoon villain here. This goofball is the mayor of Doofustown. I don't know how this clown keeps landing prestigious positions. In 2011, during a stockholder meeting, he said, when you're 6 hours into playing Battlefield and you run out of ammo in your clip and we ask you for $1 to reload, you're really not that price sensitive at that point in time. So he's using this as a gold standard example of successful monetization, where you're deep into Battlefield, you're in the middle of doing something, and then bang, we flash a jump scare on screen that says you need to give us $1 if you want to reload right now. And he believes most players would relent and just give them the $1 because they are actively doing something and now have to pay in order to keep doing it. It's beyond evil. It is remarkably greedy. He also fell into some hot water last year where he called developers fucking idiots if they didn't focus on monetization. This dusty, crusty, abominable zombie only treats the games industry as a means to put the squeeze on consumers and hose them for every single dollar they have to their name. It's not surprising to see the direction Unity's going with this goofball at the helm. But what is surprising is the fact that John Riccitiello keeps landing powerful positions in the industry. He is not good at his job. His ideas are atrocious. He is a money repellent. EA couldn't even act on his advice because it was so over-the-top Looney Tunes level evil greed. He does not succeed as a leader. All he does is lead companies to fucking ruin, like reputational ruin, with what he's doing with Unity now. He just sinks the ship with terrible business ideas. I don't know how he even got the Unity CEO role. So now that's the basic lore rundown on the history of John the Money's Gone, Riccitiello. Now, as Upper Echelon briefly mentioned there, this guy also sold a pretty substantial amount of Unity stock right before this announcement came out. Which, you know, hey, I'm not the feds here, I'm not the authorities, but to me, in my little caveman brain, that sounds a little bit like insider trading. There's no way this guy is dumb enough to have not realized the backlash that would ensue from this. And he happened to dump quite a bit of stock right before making the announcement. That's a little peculiar, don't you think? But anyway, you know, maybe just complete coincidence, perhaps.
But who's this guy? Tomar Barzeev. Credit where credit is due, tugging on this thread is the result of a post on r/Unity from a user named Zijit. I'll link to that down below. Tomar Barziv is on the board of directors at Unity, but he is also the CEO of a company called IronSource.
IronSource is a company that merged with Unity to the tune of $4.4 billion. IronSource is a business that fundamentally focuses on monetizing developers' apps. And this merger was actually pretty controversial because a lot of users had reported some shady things with the IronSource platform and alleged that there was malware, there was adware bundled with certain things, just a lot of claims that were pretty alarming. Eventually, IronSource coped by saying, like, hey, it was just some bad actors who, abused the platform. And so this merger already was pretty sour in terms of its reception due to all of these past experiences that users were alleging.
But it turns out that when you go down the list of Unity insiders who are selling stock in the company, this guy is by far the most aggressive. Over the past year alone, according to Fintel, it appears that Tomar Barziv has sold upwards of $20 million in Unity stock, which is interesting to say the very least.
20 million clams, huh? That is very interesting, I'd say. Now, of course, this isn't like the most unheard of thing ever with, insiders selling stock, right? But the volume that he's selling, especially in comparison to the others, the frequency, and just his position within the company all makes this a very interesting case of selling 20 million doubloons worth of your Unity stock here.
First, at the same time as this $4.4 billion deal, or merger, was taking place, a company called AppLovin made a competing offer to buy out Unity completely for $20 billion. But Unity rejected this deal, citing that the deal, quote, would not reasonably be expected to result in a superior proposal.
Upper Echelon goes on to say that he finds it odd that they rejected that, considering the $20 billion offer is pretty significantly above the market cap at the time. But he did say that with the AppLovin deal, Unity would have been dropped to 49%, so there is complications to it. But this is an important piece of the puzzle here with everything going on, because Upper Echelon expands a bit further into the merger with IronSource, which was significantly less than they would have got than if they went with AppLovin. So there is a bit of a head-scratcher to it, but Upper Echelon is diving deep in here and picking out all the breadcrumbs and getting to the truth.
During the deal with IronSource, two investment companies, Sequoia Capital and Silver Lake, pledged to come on board with $1 billion invested in the deal itself. Two more people, one from each of those companies, joined Unity's board of directors. Egon Durbin and Rolaf Botha, these nuts. Starting with Egon Durbin, he is a founding principal and managing director at Silver Lake, which it now appears, I shit you not, has sold the entirety of their directly held remaining stock in Unity Technologies, disclosed as of yesterday.
Casually sliding in that D's nuts moment was spectacular, really appreciated. So, important takeaways here is after the IronSource merger with Unity, two new people get added to the board, and they're both some pretty shady individuals as well. One of them, Egon, actually dumps all of his held Unity stock, which was disclosed yesterday, apparently. And it's at this point Upper Echelon drags us kicking and screaming into the light. We're able to take a look at this septic tank for what it really is, full of shit. So these two new characters come on board, and Upper Echelon examined their connections. And Egon, in particular, had a notable past where he was pretty tight with Tesla, especially during that whole boogeyman moment where Tesla might go private, that whole thing that floated around a few years ago. And overall, both of these two new members of the board at Unity both seem very enthusiastic about this modern tech trend to charge out the wazoo for API access. Twitter made a change to their pricing model for API access not too long ago. Reddit most recently made a change to their pricing model for API access, which was actually the catalyst for the Reddit blackout that many of you might remember. God rest the souls of all the accounts that went offline for 48 hours. Basically, the new tech trend is these massive corporations charging a lot of money for API access, and Upper Echelon draws this parallel with the way Unity's pricing model reflects the API pricing models for Twitter and Reddit. And given the connections of the two new members that joined the board, Botha and Durbin, it isn't far-fetched to assume that this is the direction Unity wants to go, to follow in line with those models, which is bad. That is bad for everybody in the communities. The API changes on Twitter and Reddit were wildly detrimental to a lot of different things, and the Unity changes are also extremely detrimental to a lot of different things. It is a bad thing, but it actually gets worse.
Here's a much better visualization of what's actually happening from a user named Sososki on Twitter. The yellow indicates the portion of developers who will now lose between 10 and 25% of their revenue with Unity's new terms of service. The orange, they stand to lose between 25 and 50% of their revenue. Red can lose between 50 and 100%, and that scary black line off to the left, not huge, but it is there. That's the area where these new terms will bankrupt your company because Unity decided to charge you more money per install than your app is even making.
There's no way Unity didn't do math. There's no way this Twitter user put more work into analyzing this than the company did making this decision. This is something that under no circumstances should have ever flown, period. Because there's no world where you as the company should bankrupt the people using your product because they're succeeding when using your product. It's nonsensical. Now, I realize I didn't answer this in the beginning, but there is a lot of confusion. They are changing the policy, but it doesn't mean that the companies that use Unity for their games are retroactively responsible to pay for the installs that people have already done prior to this new agreement. It's going forward. So yes, the rules change, but it doesn't enforce retroactively for payment. Though a lot of terms are changing, and there is a lot of scumminess there, of course, which has led to a pretty deep and interesting discussion around if Unity's even able to do this legally. And I'm not an expert, so of course take this with a grain of salt, but from what I've researched and from what I've read, it is legal to change the license the way they have and then still hold previous products to the same standards of the new license, even though when they made the game that license wasn't the same. It's legal to do that. It's just a morally fucked up thing to do and then enforce it that way retroactively. So there is a lot of nuance to this, and then the whole thing is just a messy fucking disaster. Truly, top to bottom. But I don't think it's illegal per se. But who knows? Maybe it is. I've seen discussions about a potential class action lawsuit from some developers, so I guess we'll see. But the big point here with this graph is that under this new monetization policy, developers can straight up go bankrupt just because their game is succeeding, because this fee is taking more money from the developers than the game they made is making them. So they're literally losing money with more installs. It's tragic. Like, it's unbelievable. And it's not like Unity wouldn't know that. Unity has this data. Again, there is no way a Twitter user did more research and more analysis than the company themselves. Unity has to know this. They just don't care. They don't give a fuck about it.
Focusing on the casual mobile market, we see this right here. Unity is offering a runtime fee waiver if you switch to Level Play, as it tries to kill AppLovin. Level Play is a service from ironSource. That decision emulates a pattern that began with Twitter, was mirrored by Reddit, and is now making its way through the broader markets. The decision itself appears to be aimed at killing a competing service after Unity actually rejected a buyout offer from that service's owner in favor of a merger with ironSource, who stands to gain the most from this entire controversy.
I went a little out of order here, but I wanted to save this point for last. So apparently Unity is offering a fee waiver if you switch to the ironSource service, the Level Play service. So the conclusion here, the overall conclusion that Upper Echelon draws from all of this information presented, is that Unity is going down the modern tech trend model of the API charges that Twitter and Reddit use and implementing something very similar when it comes to game development in their products. And it seems like a lot of this is aimed at killing a competitor that actually offered to buy them out, AppLovin. AppLovin is a service that does directly compete with what ironSource is offering here, Level Play. So it does seem like all of this is trying to follow that trend and also trying to destroy that competitor. Now, I highly encourage all of you to go finish Upper Echelon's video because he gets into a lot more of the nitty-gritty here, as well as how developers are combating this currently and what they can do going forward in order to fight back against this kind of unhinged greed. But there are still so many pieces left on the chessboard that Upper Echelon does go through, so I'm going to put a link to his video in the description of this one. I highly encourage you to go check out the rest of it if you want to see even more about it, as well as how deep the rabbit hole goes, because again, there's still a lot more to this, and Upper Echelon does a great job at shedding light on all of it. So yeah, I think it should be pretty clear why so many gamers and pretty much everyone is upset about these Unity changes. This tech trend is not something that people should be celebrating, not that anybody is, but it really is a horrible trend with all of the API pricing changes and now Unity trying to integrate that model into gaming. All of this is a much worse thing for consumers, the average person, in this case, gamers and game developers. It is a bad scenario all around. So this situation is one that I really don't think Unity should ever recover from. The company deserves to fail for this, 100%. This is an impressive level of delusional greed that should absolutely sink this company. So yeah, I just wanted to kind of go over all of this. That's really about it. So yeah. A little over a year ago, Disney overdosed on skooma, and their delusion really went off the rails when they finally launched their Star Wars Hotel experience. This was a prime receptacle for spitballs and tomatoes. Boos heard around the world because it was laughably overpriced and extremely confusing on what you were even paying for in the first place. It was initially announced like way back in 2017, and it was supposed to carry a price tag of $6,000 for a 2-night stay, but it could go as low as $4,000 as well. It's called the Star Wars Galactic Star Cruiser, and it's supposed to be a fully immersive Star Wars experience for superfans to spend 2 nights in this like underground bunker hotel facility that's supposed to be like a murder mystery, song and dance with all kinds of Star Wars characters, as well as a hotel, as well as fine dining. It basically just takes a ton of different things, threw it at a dartboard and said, okay, it's going in the Star Wars Galactic Star Cruiser, we're going to charge a fucking outrageous price. At $4,000 or $6,000 for 2 nights, I would expect to have a room on a legitimate fucking spaceship. With that amount of money, those rooms better be coming with that titty alien that Mark Hamill milks in the movie. Like, that is a crazy price tag. $1,200 per person per night? My god. You'd need to be like fucking Scrooge McDuck to be able to afford that, or the biggest Star Wars fan in the world who's willing to just dump everything into a 2-night experience. But what's crazy is, it looks miserable to stay in. Here's the rooms. Here's one of the 100 cabin rooms. It's basically like a little prison. Like, your children get these small pods in the wall. The bed looks rather small. Like, this is not what you would expect for this amount of money. You go to the goddamn Star Wars gulag. It's so startling. There's no windows. Like, keep in mind, there's no windows in these rooms. All you get is these little screens supposed to look like you're out in space, but it looks really dated. It doesn't seem like they put a whole lot of effort into that, but I haven't been, so maybe it's cooler in person. But there's no windows, so you're basically going in there into like a goddamn stasis chamber there, 2 days away from the world. And when you're not forsaken to your solitary confinement room on the Star Wars Galactic Looney Bin, you get interactive theater out the wazoo, which to me sounds like one of the circles of hell somewhere, where you can't escape theater and people in character for Star Wars 24/7. That just seems way too much. So the pictures I'm getting are from a video from DFB Guides, who went over the entire Star Wars hotel experience, and overall it's just an expensive, confusing, jumbled mess from everything I've seen. And this opened only a little over a year ago, and it's already closing. This was a complete disaster for Disney, I imagine. Of course, I'm not their fucking accountant. I can't flip through their books here and double check. But I just can't imagine at that price point, as well as how awful their marketing had been for it, that it was financially successful for them. They're writing it off as like a business decision that they've decided to close it so shortly after launch, but that doesn't make any sense. That just sounds like a bad business decision if it was doing well. It's 100 cabins, clearly a very expensive endeavor, and they're already giving up after a year. When this shit launched, it had terrible publicity. Like, they made these marketing pitches that gave people no insight into what they were paying for. So people already started kind of wiping their ass with the whole idea of even staying there or considering it. It turned everyone off immediately, and it's never recovered. Now, it's worth mentioning, among the people that have paid a visit to this facility, the majority of them are saying that they enjoyed it and that it was worth the cost. I don't know if that's genuine or if it's some level of brainwashing where they paid so much money that they convinced themselves that they had to enjoy it, thus they did. But people did seem to like it when they paid all that money for it, and that makes sense because if you're a super fan of Star Wars, there's nothing you're going to dislike about it. You're just perpetually inundated with constant stimulation of Star Wars shit, so I imagine most fans probably would have loved it. I still don't know how you could really like the rooms, though. Even in all the videos I've seen and all the people that visit the rooms, they are super small for how much you're paying. You are not getting, like, a luxury cabin. It's very much like a summer camp, like band camp fucking cabin here. I'm still a bit baffled by the decision to have the guests stay in these tight windowless quarters. Like, that sounds miserable. Why that? Like, what's the next Star Wars hotel gonna be? Pay $10,000 and we'll freeze you in carbonite like Han Solo? Like, this is not a comfortable, you know, stay. Which I think is just ridiculous for how much you're paying to be there. And where you sleep in a hotel, I would argue, is the most important thing about a hotel. Though I guess in this case it's supposed to be more than that. It's supposed to be like a Star Wars experience where you fucking transcend the human race for a brief moment and take a journey into fantasy. But then when you come out from reality, you leave this underground nuclear fallout shelter of the Star Wars Galactic Star Cruiser, you realize you're $6,000 down and about to miss a house payment or something. I still can't get over just how expensive this fucking place is. Or was. The final voyage is coming up in September, so it's on its way out, but still. One other thing I want to mention is when these announcement videos were first coming out, these pictures were first surfacing of the experience, one thing that I heavily criticized was the food. It hypes itself up as being like fine dining, you know, pinky out establishment kind of thing. And the food they were showcasing looked like slop. Actual prison slop that they would serve on a tray at like a maximum security ward. It didn't look like high-quality food for that price. It'd have names like the Yakbi Shrimp Blue Milk Glorb Stuffer, and what you would see on the plate is like 2 tiddlywinks of pork and a small piece of bread or something. But after going through and watching more of the videos over the last like 4 or 5 months, the food does look fine. So I don't know why they chose the most unflattering promotional pieces for their food in the beginning, but it does seem like the food is a big hit with the people that go there, and from what I see, it looks fine. Albeit it has the cardinal sin that every high dining facility has, where you get portion sizes that wouldn't be enough to fill the belly of a bumblebee. So that's always, you know, in my opinion, a bit of a scam to charge so much and receive so little, but that's just the trend in very expensive restaurants, unfortunately. I always think portion sizes are important, so if you're paying a lot of money, you should be able to fill your full belly. You should walk out of there feeling full, satisfied, and your gluttony, you know, satiated. But anyway, the food does look fine, and that was something that I was very vocal about in the beginning, being lackluster. Some of you may remember I toyed around with the idea of getting the gang together and spending the 2 nights at that hotel. But we really sidelined that idea, fucking flushed that down the toilet because that is way too expensive. So I don't think we're ever going to do that. That's not worth the amount of money for the sake of like basically a joke or just to experience something awful. Like none of us are huge Star Wars fans. Like I like Star Wars, I couldn't stand the new trilogy, but overall I love the Star Wars universe, especially everything with the Old Republic. This has nothing to do with that, so this wouldn't even be in my favorite era of Star Wars. And none of my friends are big Star Wars fanatics either, so it's not like we'd get anything out of this other than like not having fun and trying to make a joke out of it, which is not worth fucking $6,000. So I don't think that's happening. I want to go ahead and clear that up. We're not going even before it closes. It's not worth it. Now, at the funeral for the Star Wars hotel, Disney's trying to put on a strong face, saying that this premium boutique experience gave us the opportunity to try new things on a smaller scale of 100 rooms, and as we prepare for its final voyage, we'll take what we've learned to create future experiences that can reach more of our guests and fans. I'm not on the Disney Superstar Board of Directors or anything, but I'll offer you some free consultation here. Lower the price. No one is paying $1,200 per person per night. That's a crazy ask. You could have saved yourself a huge headache if you just made this more accessible financially for most people. I think that's the way that you reach new guests and more fans, right? Like it seems like a pretty simple solution to the mathematical equation here. So I think it was just way too expensive. I have no doubt there's a lot of people that probably would have loved to go there and couldn't afford to. So they completely missed out on that entire market. Now, like I said, they are trying to treat it like a learning experience, and I have no doubt they fucking learned a lot from this. They invested a ton into the project, a lot of time and a lot of money, and they're kind of eating shit on it, it seems. So, yeah, that's really about it. See ya. There is no company on the planet that deserves its failure more than Ubisoft. Just take a peek at their stock price right now and it'll tell you a beautiful story about a company that's so out of touch that now it is going through a catastrophic collapse where its shares are worth less than shoelaces. I've blabbered on, ranting about Poopysoft till the cows came home, so I'm not here to just do that again. Instead, I want to focus on their most recent blunder, where they just released another NFT game in 2024. 2,024 years after the death of Jesus, they have released 2 NFT games, 3 years after the death of NFTs. This is their second rodeo here, releasing NFT games this year. They've released 2 NFT games in a month of each other. That's like releasing Madam Web twice this year, except these are flopping even harder and even more embarrassing. Their previous one was called Champion Tactics fucking Goober Chronicles or something. But the only thing Ubisoft champions, the only tactic they're championing, is putting fart from my butt onto the blockchain. I don't know who's actually the head honcho at Ubisoft, but whoever their leader is objectively the stupidest person on the planet. If you walked into the office of the Ubisoft CEO, you would be walking into the domain of the world's dumbest man. It's... I keep using the word baffling, but it actually is just mind-boggling how this company can be this bad at the one thing they're supposed to be doing, making games. They're allergic to making good games, and at this point, they're just downright allergic to making games. They're pushing NFT slop shovelware now. So they already did the Champion Tactics, and now they have a new NFT game featuring one of their most beloved IP, Rayman, except it's not really a Rayman game, it's an NFT game. It's just a full-blown NFT game called Captain Laserhawk. You see, Ubisoft released another NFT game, Captain Laserhawk the Game. Nope. They released another NFT game? Oh, God! No way the game plays like that, right? This has to just be the recording. Oh, jeepers! Well, I mean, it's Ubisoft. It really might play like this. This is a Ubisoft game. You said this is an NFT game? Let me see. How is it? I mean, it looks like an NFT game, but what do they do? Captain Laserhawk the Game from Ubisoft. I have to buy my ID card. Complete your pre-admission and reveal your ID card, your key to play Captain Laserhawk the Game. Citizenship Service. Owning one of the 10,000 IDs will transform you into a Niji, a brave warrior of Eden. You'll have the power to shape the future of this world and chance to earn exclusive rewards of great value reserved for your rank. It's unbelievable. It's actually unbelievable. 2 NFT games from Ubisoft this year. Within the last month. That's amazing. I know there's only 10,000 IDs. We need to act quick. They're flying off the shelf. How much is the ID? Good question. Here, the December 11th, the Niji Warrior IDs were minted. 3 days ago, early access. Then we have public. It's a transmedia gaming adventure where the community drives the narrative through innovative governance. How innovative. And if the game runs like this video, you are actually paying to play a game at 3 FPS. What a joke. Hold on, I have to see another video. Maybe it really is just that. Oh, good news, that is actually the only video on it. Not a single other piece of footage exists. Love that. Ubisoft, you've done it again. A smash hit. The game is a competitive online top-down multiplayer shooter game developed by Ubisoft. When will they learn that putting their name on things makes people less likely to buy it? They should be hiding that fact, honestly. Like, if they want to make more sales, they should just take their name off of shit, or use an alias. Eden Online is the layer which gives power to the community when it comes to decision-making for the game updates each season. Eligibility to play the game in early access will be reflected by ownership of a Citizen ID card. Eden Online has a limited capacity of 10,000 seats for citizenship. The game beta will be available at the end of... Yeah, we're past that. I already know that. I'm curious. What do the delusional NFT Twitter community members think? They weren't super thrilled about the last Ubisoft stinker. Still nothing positive yet. There's only a few posts about it too. The only post that has any real traction is from IGN saying Ubisoft has secretly launched a new game that features Rayman through its powered NFTs and blockchain in the year 2024. Not even the NFT people that actually buy fucking popsicle sticks as long as they're minted on the blockchain is biting on this one. You've done it again, Ubisoft. Click your buy ID card to see prices. Alright, let me see. Oh man, these all seem so reasonable. I don't know how much is this in money? Someone convert the Ethereum for me. It's 18 to 19 USD. Okay. So it's an $18 to $19 early access NFT game. I don't see how that can fail. I can't believe more people aren't biting. Especially for some of the rare globulins. I already forgot what they call these stupid fucking things. Eden elitists? Jesus, did anyone buy a single one? It looks like all 10,000 ID cards are still here. Oh my god. Look at the top, it says 3,000 owners. Oh yeah, 3.2k owners. Wonder how many of that's held by a development team. Ubisoft's innovation is crazy. It is. Captain Laserhawk is actually a cool show. It has Rayman doing cocaine and eating sushi off of a naked cowgirl's ass. What? What do you mean? The cocaine I can almost understand for Rayman, but what do you mean naked cowgirl's ass? Holy Lord, you're right. And this is not what I thought. When you said naked cowgirl, I thought you meant like a human being, like a cowboy, but woman. No, it is literally a female cow with titties and butt cheeks. And he is actually eating sushi out of her ass, like, no, like just straight up. What? What is this show? Wait, that sounds unhinged. Isn't Rayman a kid's game? Well, I thought so, but I don't think it is. I absolutely cannot pull this up on screen. I'm not exaggerating either. You can't see her nipples, but you can see the big fucking honkers, and he is pulling a sushi roll out of her asshole. Either way, though, this show definitely looks a lot better than the NFT Ubisoft game. That's for damn sure. I don't know why Ubisoft keeps making NFT games. In 2024. X-Defiant died for this. Yeah, Ubisoft had to shut down X-Defiant so they could take all the people working on it and instead put them on... I already forgot what this was called. Captain Laserhawk, NFT Eden Online Adventure. No one told me about this, by the way. I had to learn this on my own. There is another Concord level failure in the AAA gaming space. Unknown 9. I'm assuming you guys just didn't hear about this? Because I didn't either, and I keep my finger on the pulse of these massive flopperooskies. So Unknown 9 was a game that came out to crickets. An all-time peak of 285. That means Gollum basically 5x'd this game's player count. And that's not, you know, the biggest surprise in the world. There's all kinds of flops born every minute. But this one had so many trailers and shit, and so much money behind it, and before this game even released, they had planned an entire franchise around it, which they have now announced is cancelled. It was a transmedia process where they were going to make a... What was it? Oh, here it is, right here. Video game, film, and book. And I also read that they were talking about, like, comics and... Oh, wait, right here. And comics and web series. And podcasts. So they invested unbelievable amounts of money in this before the game even came out. Like, this was going to be like fucking Star Trek or something for them. They really thought they had something with Unknown 9. And I went back and I watched the trailer, and I can vaguely remember we saw this at one of Jeff Keighley's Game Awards or something. I don't remember which.
Peggy 16.
But like even the name just sounds like it's destined for like the bargain bin. Unknown 9 sounds like something from an Adam Sandler film where like he walks in on his kid playing games. He's like, what you playing, sport? And he's like, Unknown 9, Dad. It's only the optimal battle royale hero shooter. Old man, get out of here, geriatric. They had a trailer in pretty much every game show for the past 2 years. But yeah, this was like their cinematic trailer. It didn't really ring any bells for me here, but the one that did... Where is it? This one.
And the first chapter of a larger adventure that unfolds within the Unknown 9 narrative universe. You play as Haruna, a young woman with impressive supernatural abilities. Brought to life on screen,
I remembered this. I didn't know the game ever came out, and I guess no one else did either.
Comes from her attunement to the Fold, realize that they are the only ones who can stop them from meddling with forces that should better be left untouched.
So, they had all these trailers throughout the years. It was going to be this massive media empire, you know, rivaling Hello Kitty and Pokemon, I guess. They were just investing heavily. Game came out. I didn't even know it came out. We didn't even touch it on like a bad game night or anything. It's apparently fucking terrible.
We need to get that door open. I'd wager there's a switch.
You know what it reminds me of before I let the gameplay continue? Do you guys remember, I think it was like 10 years ago now, they had that like Indiana Jones style bad game that had a lot of hype around it and it was a big flop. I can't remember anything else about it. No, not Forspoken, older than that. It was like an Uncharted kind of game, but done on like $50 a budget. Was it Unearthed? I don't know, it might have been Unearthed. I thought it had a longer name than that. I thought it was something like Clive Doofenheim's Exploration to the Center of the World or something, but let me see Unearthed. Yep, it is Unearthed. Trail of Ibn Battuta, that's what it was. Fuck. It reminds me of this game.
Welcome to Morocco, my friends. I'm glad you could make it. The adventure of one of the world's greatest explorers.
Of course I see the Chainsaw Man movie.
Ibn Juzay wrote an account of Ibn Battuta's adventures in a book called Al-Rila. Was passed to us through generations. The book
Man, I need to replay Unearthed Trail of Ibn Battuta. But yeah, this was episode 1 of what was supposed to be like this long-spanning epic. But it's very clear this game was made off of, you know, a pretty small budget. This, allegedly, from some of the numbers I was reading, was over $100 million. Because they had so many things in the can already outside of just games. And this is what the game looks like.
I see you, Twister! Give up! Find that crate! She's there! She just disappeared.
It's crazy just how out of touch gaming companies can be these days.
Where'd she go?
It reminds me of just old 360 games you'd find used at GameStop for like 10 bucks. And you're like, fuck it, I'll play it for a few hours. What was it? Also, I didn't look at the reviews. I want to see what IGN gave this game.
It only took 10 minutes of playing Unknown 9 Awakening for me to feel a keen sense of deja vu, taking out enemies in small
and a keen smell of dog shit because this game is trash.
Story of personal growth, also just
watch them give it an 8.
This.
What is happening here? What am I looking at? Oh. That's a pretty cool find. An infinite Dormammu loop.
Unknown 9 Awakening, the wholly underwhelming adventure.
Nice. So yep, apparently this whole franchise cost tons and tons of money. I had an unbelievable amount of faith in it, and it is now canned because it only ever had 285 players, which is absolutely incredible. So I will definitely be playing this after the World Championship. So after this weekend, I'll probably start playing it on Monday, like next Monday. We're going to give it a whirl before they take it off Steam inevitably. It looks like it was a new studio founded by a guy who was a writer on 3 Assassin's Creed games. That just sounds so par for the course. Let's see. Actually, let me finish reading the rest of this article. I haven't seen this article. I was looking at other ones. I just love this statement. Posted on LinkedIn, informed the community the studio would not be greenlighting any further projects related to the Unknown 9 development. What community? You had 285 people. You could have gotten them in a Discord call. There's no one to even address. Listen, guys, I know you've been feverishly waiting for more Unknown 9 development news, and boy howdy do we have some bad stuff for you today. I'm sure none of you saw this coming, but they pumped the brakes on us. Explained the decision was made following the failure of the studio's ambitious and courageous first project, a new IP with a rich transmedia universe, and acknowledged the game didn't come near the company expectations because the debut title massively underperformed. He confirmed the IP didn't warrant any further exploration. Before its release, gamers thought Unknown 9 Awakening was a mix of Banishers, Ghosts of New Eden, and Forspoken. Who thought that? Shortly after the franchise announcement, Bandai Namco Entertainment acquired Unknown 9 Studio to undertake the ambitious project. Unfortunately, part of Hort's statement confirmed several staff members would be made redundant, including back-office employees, and given severance packages, further health benefits, access to counseling services, and proactive career planning support. CEO added that the affected staff would be assigned to one of Bandai Namco's IP projects where possible, stating the work was shaping up very well. Unfortunately, this is Reflector's second round of redundancies after a wave in November 2024. Jesus. Even though Unknown 9 Awakening flaunted amazing stepping powers... What is that? Amazing stepping powers? What is that? Shows awesome stepping powers. Can I see? Are these the stepping powers?
Battling high blood sugar, here's a piece of avoid drinking cold water.
Oh, here. Stepping is the ability to project one's mind into the consciousness of another by way of the fold. While stepping, one has access to the weaponry, strength, and intellect of a given vessel and may fully control their actions. Man, they're really trying to make it sound cooler than it is. She stepped! Holy shit! Didn't you play this game on Steam one time? I did not. I've never played this game. I will, though, because I want to be able to experience before it's lost media. Did YouTube streaming fail? I'm using past tense because according to a lot of people, it's already buried 6 feet under. There's been a lot of YouTube exclusive streamers over the last month or so that have announced that they're moving back to Twitch or that they're going to be multi-streaming now that their YouTube contracts are up. So the perception is that every YouTube streamer is basically just in purgatory, scratching at their neck, waiting to get back to Twitch. And it kind of has the same reputation Mixer did a long time ago, God rest its soul, where people that were previously on Twitch took a bag from YouTube, had a little paid vacation for a year or two, and then go back to Twitch eventually. And as a former full-time streamer on both platforms, I feel like I'm John Constantine, walking the line between worlds here. And I feel like I just have oodles of insight on this subject. Now, since I've entered my senile years, I have elected to go part-time, so you can hang that jersey in the rafters, or if you're a tier 3 sub on Twitch, you can go ahead and downgrade that puppy or just stop it altogether, because at this point it's kind of like the GameStop trade-in of value. You're not getting a whole lot of bang for your buck with how little I've been streaming recently. I did stream all weekend for the Apex Major in Germany. We were watch partying our squad, absolutely fucking clapping cheeks out there. Just posted a video on that as well if you'd rather just watch like the condensed version. So it's a topic I really want to explore. And it turns out Ludwig already beat me to it, that rascal. So I kind of want to just go through his video and drop some more tiddlywinks of information about all of it.
Have you been noticing this trend where people who are signed to YouTube live streaming contracts, the day their contract ends, switch right back to Twitch or start multi-streaming?
Yeah, that's a phenomenon that's more common than the cold. You would be hard-pressed to find any Twitch streamers that switch to YouTube streaming and haven't already switched back over the last year or so to Twitch, or at the very least started multi-streaming on Twitch and YouTube. There are less of them than there is hair on my chest, and look at what we're working with here. Everyone seemingly that switched to YouTube streaming, either through YouTube contracts or through Twitch's fumbling over the last couple of years with like some policy changes as well as like some platform direction that people were upset with, have over the last year or so switched back. Because Twitch started to find their footing again with some of the changes and changing things around, like reverting a couple of things, as well as YouTube no longer doing streaming contracts. So it seems like everyone's flooding back to Twitch the second they can.
YouTube and YouTube Live not changing isn't because they move slow. It's because YouTube Live isn't a priority for YouTube. But your friends that went to YouTube are all coming back, Sushi.
Yes.
Yeah. Dan Clancy, cool as a cucumber here. I'm actually shocked he didn't have a cigar in his mouth delivering this little speech. Like, he's basically just dancing on the grave of YouTube's reputation in the public eye. There was a time when everyone, myself included, thought YouTube was going to be a real threat to Twitch's market share. Because Twitch has had the streaming ecosystem in a titty twister for years. They've had the nipple clamps on those honkers. And YouTube started to get a lot of momentum with streamers that were native to Twitch switching to YouTube even without a contract. But it seems most streamers grew tired of YouTube doing absolutely nothing besides letting the streaming element of their site wither, fester, and die. So pretty much all of them have switched back to Twitch at this point, except for the ones that are still under contract or banned from Twitch. But there was a moment where it really did seem like YouTube was encroaching on Twitch's stranglehold on the industry. And at the height of this, Dan Clancy was interviewed asking, are they panicking? Are they worried about Twitch users switching to rival platforms? Is Twitch going to do anything to keep users and streamers on their site? It was also public knowledge at this time that Twitch had completely stopped doing contracts for even their biggest streamers. They just put the kibosh on contracts entirely. And Dan Clancy just said nope. In fact, he encouraged everyone to try alternatives. Like if they want to stream on YouTube and Kick, go for it. Go hog wild. He said that he believed that all of them would be back to Twitch because he believed in the platform being the best that streaming had to offer. And it seems like his bet has paid off so far. Like Luigi, he won without having to do anything. It seems most streamers that went to other platforms are all starting to flock back to Twitch.
You know, when Myth ended his YouTube contract, I believe he took a break. He stopped streaming on YouTube. Lily, the moment her contract ended, switched back over to Twitch. Dr. Lupo, when his contract ended, started multi-streaming. I mean, shit, Tim the Tatman today said he was going to start multi-streaming on Twitch and YouTube. And look, his viewership is better on Twitch after 3 years, I think, on YouTube than it is right now on YouTube.
And that's a pretty crazy thing. So the perception and the fear for a lot of streamers was if they left Twitch, if they ever decided to come back, their viewership wouldn't be what it once was, or their sub count would be significantly lower. But time and time again, it seems like that's just not the case. Not just Tim the Tatman, but there's been other streamers that have gone to other platforms that have come back to Twitch and have been in pretty much the exact same spot that they left off in, no matter how many years had passed. Everybody knows when you switch platforms, your audience doesn't necessarily follow you. You're definitely not getting the whole kit and caboodle to come over to the new platform that you've come to. You're lucky to get like even a fraction of it. Like, yeah, you'll hit like huge peaks for the first couple of streams with people like, you know, trickling in just to check it out. But that audience you built up on the previous platform, they're most likely just going to go back to that because that's the platform they're most comfortable on. So if you're not on it, they'll probably just find another streamer and maybe they'll occasionally tune into you on the other platform. But for the most part, they don't get converted to the new platform that you've switched to. So with the example here, Tim the Tatman, he built up a YouTube streaming audience, and now that he went back to Twitch, that Twitch audience he used to have, it seems like they're still using Twitch, and look to be receptive to Tim the Tatman being back on their preferred platform, so his viewership has kind of stayed pretty much the same there.
And nothing fucking changed. He's literally doing better on Twitch. And you might be wondering, okay, why are streamers switching back to Twitch? Well, one might be because they do better. They get more viewers. Two, it's because they also make more money.
I saw someone say sub count, by the way, earlier. I didn't answer it. I apologize. I'm not making up messages here. We are at 6.3.
Crowd, our game's over.
So you have an official number?
I'm joining up.
We're probably closer to 6.5, if I had to guess.
And Tim basically says he got 6,500 subs in one single stream on Twitch, and on YouTube he had 14,000 subs. So he basically got almost half his subscriber count in one day. So he's going to start making more money from Twitch subs than he ever did from YouTube members.
That is another huge thing. That one is a big ol' fucking set to wumbo explanation for why a lot of people will switch back to Twitch. The earning potential on YouTube streams is substantially lower than it is on Twitch. Twitch is a platform with culture. Chat experience on Twitch has always and will always be better than YouTube. Period. Hands down. There's nothing YouTube can do to really beat that, and it doesn't seem like YouTube's even trying. They're just waving the white flag on that. They're just eating the huge fucking L on just having a bad chat experience compared to Twitch. But also, Twitch just has a culture of subbing. Like, Twitch has Prime subs, which is something you can do for free for your favorite streamer, where you sub to them with Twitch Prime, and it's free for you, and the streamer gets paid. Like, that is a deal YouTube just can't match. And it's extremely beneficial to the streamers on Twitch. So Tim the Tatman can make in one day what it took 3 years for him to make on YouTube, at least when it comes to like membership numbers versus sub numbers. So YouTube has a sub equivalent with members, but nobody fucking uses it. Most people don't even know it exists. Also, it's not even functional on mobile. You have to go outside of the YouTube app, like on like a different browser on your phone, in order to even find the join button for most channels. Like, it's not something that's integrated into YouTube streaming. So most streamers on YouTube will never come close to the amount of subs a Twitch streamer will have. And they won't even come close to the amount of money a Twitch streamer earns if they are streaming on YouTube. So that's another really enticing reason why a lot of people that were streaming on YouTube are going back to Twitch. Also, another obvious one is discoverability. The main critique of YouTube streaming since its inception has been how hard it is to navigate and how difficult it is to even find streams in the fucking first place. And they have done little to improve that. Any channels that have found success streaming on YouTube are channels that already had an audience before they started streaming, or had an audience from elsewhere that came in for those YouTube streams. Anyone that's just starting with streaming on YouTube, it's not going to bring in any viewers because discoverability is non-existent. YouTube is actually really good when it comes to like event streams though. So this is something Ludwig also talks about. If a big moment happens in an event, like grand finals is going on in some kind of big tournament, and a lot of people start flooding in, well, YouTube recognizes that and then actually starts recommending that stream outside of the normal little bubble, like the quarantine unit that it keeps streams in, so then you actually will get some eyes on it. But if you're like just daily streaming normal shit or just starting out streaming, you're not going to have that stream go to anyone outside of whatever audience you've already built up going into it. You have better odds of writing your YouTube handle on a paper airplane and throwing it out of your window and hoping a neighbor sees it and checks it out than you do just streaming on YouTube and relying on them to push it. It doesn't happen. Whereas on Twitch, even though there are so many streamers to compete with in every category, your odds of being seen are higher. Your potential to have some viewers trickle in is just higher on Twitch.
If you look at the most watched major streaming platforms by hours watched of live broadcasts, Q2 of this year, YouTube gaps Twitch. It's not close. 3 times bigger, 15 billion. However, that doesn't exactly tell the full story. Because if you look at this, you also have to include, you know, some people like YouTube's biggest live streamer by hours watched, which is not iShowSpeed. It is Lo-Fi Girl.
Yeah, so just looking at the cold, hard Carfax here, looking at these numbers, taking a peek under the hood, it looks like on the surface YouTube is slapping Twitch around when it comes to these numbers. But it's really not. Because these numbers are bloated just by the sheer volume of streams that are going on that are just literally always on. So like Lo-Fi Girl, probably the biggest stream in the world when it comes to watch hours. Like, the watch time on that is absurd because it's 24/7 nonstop with tens of thousands of viewers that are idly just listening to it in the background or have it on while they sleep. So it's not like the healthiest number that they have here. It's just the biggest one. So it doesn't really tell the full story. And Lud also mentions some other very, very popular streams on YouTube that really inflate the fuck out of those numbers.
Things like Lo-Fi Girl or videos playing on loop, or what there's a bunch of on YouTube Live, which is scams. In fact, one of the biggest live streams right now on YouTube is Tesla, except it's not Tesla. It is a scam account with 20,000 subscribers with 86,000 bots watching to give it some credibility. So people click on it who aren't part of the bot number, and then they scan this code, and then they lose all of their crypto. Do not scan this code. I'm showing this as an example of YouTube's corrupt botting problem.
If anybody actually scanned that QR code from Ludwig's video, I believe that it is now Ludwig's responsibility to pay you back for all of your lost crypto. He is liable now because Ludwig scammed you. I had the decency to censor the scam QR code. I'm just being a little goofster. If anyone actually scans that QR code and loses all their crypto, they 100% deserve it for being an unfathomably stupid buffoon. I will never be able to wrap my head around who actually falls for those. I truly don't understand it. Like, I know the default answer is like old people. I don't believe that because they probably don't have crypto in the first place. But anyway, what Ludwig is highlighting here is that these scams have tons and tons of viewership, last for quite a long time, thus bump those numbers up on the YouTube streaming hours. And they're not real. Like, you can probably find 10 of these streams going on right now. Like, that also tells me the scam must be pretty successful. There must be some people falling for it. I don't know how, you absolute imbeciles, but there's tons of them happening all the time, inflating those numbers, and YouTube doesn't do anything about it, it doesn't seem.
Like actual streamers, actual people who are streaming video games. Well, then the contest becomes a lot more fair. And there's still a lot of huge streamers. I mean, look, Steak right now is live with 41,000 viewers. That is massive. That is a huge stream.
When you look at the actual streams going on with real sentient human beings behind them, the number gets a lot lower than you would expect given the huge number that you can see in the data. Especially when you look at gaming in particular, the number there is lower than Twitch. Twitch is beating them like my meat in that department.
So if I were to rephrase the question, is YouTube live streaming a failure? In America? In English-speaking countries? Kind of. Yeah, maybe a little bit. They're not doing as well as people thought they would. Across the world? Fuck no. They're doing amazing. They are crushing. And you know this is true if you watch VTubers. VTubers crush on YouTube, man. All of Asia seems to prefer YouTube for a live streaming platform, and it makes sense.
And this is something I've been saying for a while as well. Internationally, YouTube streaming is huge, but in America, it's definitely second fiddle to Twitch. The biggest breakout star on YouTube streaming is obviously iShowSpeed. But outside of Speed, all the other big English-speaking streamers are on Twitch. But internationally, YouTube's doing very well. Ludwig also gave an example about how Twitch abandoned South Korea recently, so there's just a lot of places that are preferring YouTube for streaming outside of America. And another thing, YouTube's player is just better than Twitch's. You can rewind the stream if you want to, the bitrate is higher, the streams look better. So if you're someone that just likes to kick back and watch a stream and not really interact at all, YouTube's player is going to be very enticing and probably going to be the preferred platform for you. But a lot of people who watch streaming because they like the interactive element of it. And that's where Twitch destroys YouTube. It has an entire culture to its chat. So a lot of people, well, I'm not even going to say a lot of people, everybody prefers the Twitch chat experience. Like, there's very few people that like the YouTube chat experience because there really isn't one. Like, even going to the biggest streams, you're not going to see a whole lot going on in the chat aside from like some spam here and there. But on Twitch, you'll see like entire discussions happening in chat or like a bunch of like inside jokes and all kinds of shit that just makes it feel like a real community as opposed to on YouTube's chat experience. Overall, I have a similar takeaway as Ludwig when it comes to whether or not YouTube streaming is a failure. Overall, it's not because it's doing so well internationally, but when it comes to English-speaking streaming content, it definitely is well behind Twitch. Yes, it is gaining a little bit, but more and more streamers are just switching back to Twitch. A lot of the influx came from seeing big streamers come to YouTube and people following that path, and now that even more are going back to Twitch, I think that's going to continue to happen. But yeah, it doesn't mean YouTube streaming as a whole is dead or a complete failure. It just really lost all of its footing in America. I do, however, disagree with Ludwig on a pretty big thing, which is multi-streaming. I started multi-streaming almost a year ago now, and I actually think it was an incredibly good decision, and one that I still believe is a very smart decision for many streamers regardless of their size. Ludwig believes that multi-streaming isn't great because it makes your viewers spread out. So it basically splinters them between two platforms, which makes it very difficult to reach the consistently high highs of some of like the top streamers on Twitch. By being married to one platform in particular, you can cultivate that audience and grow it there, so that way you're at the top of those categories consistently, like on Twitch or something, so you'll keep getting new viewers and reach insane peak viewership, because as more people find you, more people talk about you, and it just keeps feeding that fire, as opposed to having a lower number on that platform because some of the viewers are watching you on a different platform, so then not as many people are seeing it and talking about it. And, like, I get the point, but I do think that being on two different platforms is reaching two different audiences. And I think that's pretty clear looking at, like, Tim the Tatman here, right? Like, his YouTube number is lower than his Twitch number, even though he started as a Twitch streamer and spent 3 years as a YouTube streamer. It's pretty clear that those have to be different viewers that are being reached. And I think there's a lot of value in that. For one, I think it's better for viewers because you give them the option to watch you on their favorite platform. So the viewers that prefer YouTube can watch you there if they want like the better player, or they can watch you on Twitch if they want the better interactive experience with chat. And I think it's good for the streamer too because you're reaching two separate audiences at the same time. The YouTube audience and the Twitch audience, yes, there's definitely going to be overlap, but it's not like it's the same audience on both platforms that's been fractured. It's two separate ones, and I think there's definitely benefits there, because if he wasn't multi-streaming, for example, he was only on Twitch, the 11,000 people on YouTube that were watching Tim might not be watching him on Twitch, so he'd stay at 17,000 over there and completely miss out on 11,000 eyeballs from YouTube. Plus, there is the added benefit that YouTube VODs are significantly better than Twitch VODs. So, when he finishes that multi-stream, his YouTube stream immediately saves as a video to his channel in the live tab that viewers can go back and watch, and also that gets put into the algorithm pretty often. There are streams that'll pop up in recommended, even if you're not someone already watching streams on YouTube, if there's some type of overlap in the algorithm between what video you watched and what stream gets popped up. So it also helps you in that regard, reaching a new audience that maybe found you through a VOD and then chooses to watch you on YouTube. So I just really think there's a lot of things that make multi-streaming a good idea, regardless of how big a streamer is. I think it's a very, very good idea for someone that's just starting out streaming, because you want to lat spread as much as possible to get your lats exposed to whoever is on whatever platform. Just spreading your wings as far and wide as they can go on as many platforms as you can, I think is great for anyone that's just starting with streaming. Which I know Ludwig does agree with. He mentions that, and he also mentions that multi-streaming is optimal for events. He thinks that's the one that makes the most sense, and he's right. Multi-streaming events is a great idea because it puts the event in front of so many other eyeballs. But I do really think it's a very viable strategy for just daily, consistent streamers as well. It just puts your content to more people, and I don't think it necessarily fractures your viewership all that much, because I really am starting to believe there isn't a ton of overlap between Twitch viewers and YouTube viewers. I think they stay in their own pockets with their preferred platforms, so I don't even think you take a huge viewership hit when you start multi-streaming. When I started multi-streaming, I was averaging like 11 or 12,000 viewers on Twitch, and then I started multi-streaming, and then my average on Twitch went down to like 8 or 9,000, so it was a little bit, but then I gained about 15,000 on YouTube. So, you know, it really doesn't seem like it's that big of a trade-off when it comes to multi-streaming. I really think it's more positives than negatives. But anyway, I just wanted to yap about this as a part-time streamer, just kind of wanted to weigh in here. That's about it. See ya.